My beloved brothers and sisters, have you ever wondered why so many of us complain that our time feels short, our wealth disappears quickly, and our hearts feel restless? We work hard. The barakah, the blessing, seems missing. The Prophet Muhammad AF taught us something very profound. He made dua asking Allah to bless his ummah in the early hours of the morning. That means the time after Fajr carries a hidden treasure of success and barakah. But sadly, most of us sleep through it. Right after Fajr, we rush back to bed, not realizing that we are turning away from the very hours in which Allah has placed blessing in our rizq, our health, and our lives. This is not a small matter, my brothers and sisters. This is one of the silent tests that many Muslims fail without even knowing it. In this video, we will uncover what really happens when you sleep after Fajr and why it may be the reason your dues feel unanswered, your time feels wasted, and your rizq feels tight. Stay with me, because this reminder could completely transform the way you start your day and perhaps the way you live your life. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the greatest gifts Allah grants us is barakah, blessing. Barakah is that hidden increase, that unseen goodness, which makes what we have sufficient beneficial and filled with peace. A little wealth with barakah becomes enough to sustain a family, while a large amount without barakah disappears without trace. Similarly, a small amount of time with barakah can achieve what endless hours without it cannot. And one of the most important times in which Allah places barakah is the morning hours after Fajr. The Prophet Muhammad made a very special supplication. "O Allah, bless my nation in their mornings." Sir Abu Dawud. Reflect on this, my brothers and sisters. The Messenger of Allah whose dua is always answered, specifically asked Allah to put blessings for his ummah in the morning. This means that the hours after Fajr are not ordinary hours. They carry a divine blessing, a hidden power for success, productivity, and spiritual growth. Yet what do many of us do? The moment we complete Fajr, we rush back to our beds and sleep away the very time the Prophet asked Allah to bless for us. This is one of the reasons we feel a lack of barakah in our lives. We say, my money finishes quickly, or my time runs out and I cannot get anything done. The truth is we are losing barakah because we are neglecting the blessed hours Allah gifted us. Look at the lives of the companions and the righteous. They would begin their work, studies, or worship right after Fajr. Many traders among the companions would open their businesses at dawn, and they would say, we find more profit when we start early. Scholars would begin writing and teaching in the early hours, and they would attribute their knowledge and productivity to the blessings of that time. On the other hand, when we waste these hours in sleep, we miss the opportunity to benefit from barakah in both our rizq and our time. A person who sleeps after Fajr may wake up late, missing work opportunities, delaying tasks, feeling tired throughout the day. Even if they try to do more later, they often achieve less because they missed the blessed hours that multiply one's efforts. It is not only about wealth and work. Barakah after Fajr is also in worship. The Quran recited at dawn settles deeply in the heart. Dhikr and dua after Fajr bring tranquility. Families that sit together after Fajr reciting Quran or making dhikr find their homes filled with peace and light. When we replace all of that with sleep, we deprive ourselves and our families of blessings that cannot be measured. My beloved brothers and sisters, if you want to see more barakah in your rizq, in your studies, in your career, and even in your health, then hold on to the morning hours. Stay awake after Fajr, engage in remembrance, Quran or beneficial work, and ask Allah to bless your efforts. Do not let Shaytan convince you that sleep is more valuable than barakah. Remember, wealth without blessing is poverty, and time without blessing is loss. The true secret of success lies in protecting the blessed hours of the morning. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the biggest traps of Shaytan is to keep us away from the blessings that Allah has placed in our lives. After Fajr, when Allah has opened the doors of barakah and success, Shaytan whispers to us, just sleep a little more, you need rest, you can pray or work later. This whisper seems harmless, but in reality, one of the most effective tricks of Shaytan to steal our time, our productivity, and our connection with Allah. The Prophet Muhammad explained something powerful in a hadith. He said, when one of you sleeps, Shaytan ties 3 knots at the back of his neck. He strikes each knot and says, you have a long night ahead, so sleep. If he wakes up and remembers Allah, 1 knot is undone. If he performs what? The 2nd knot is undone. And if he prays, the 3rd knot is undone. He wakes up energetic and in a good mood. Otherwise, he wakes up lazy and in a bad mood. So Bukhari Muslim, think about this carefully. Shaytan does not just whisper. He ties knots on us while we sleep. These knots are not physical, but spiritual and psychological. They are the knots of laziness, procrastination, and heavy-heartedness. When we wake up for Fajr, we begin untying them. But if after Fajr we rush back to bed and sleep again, often those knots tighten once more. That is why people who sleep after Fajr feel groggy, heavy and lazy even after hours of sleep. It is not the body that is tired, it is the influence of Shaytan. Laziness is not just about physical tiredness. Laziness is a disease of the heart. Shaytan wants us to delay worship, to miss opportunities of dhikr, qurn and work. He knows that success in both dunya and ākhirah comes with discipline, and discipline is built in the morning hours. If he can make us lazy after Fajr, he can weaken our whole day. That is why many people say, I feel unproductive, I feel stuck, I can't focus. It is because Shaytan succeeded in planting laziness at the very start of their day. But Islam teaches us to break this chain. After Fajr, we are encouraged to stay awake, remember Allah, recite Quran and begin our work. By doing so, we are actively fighting Shay's knots. We show Allah that we prefer His Barakah over our comfort. And when we do this consistently, we feel lighter, more energetic and more focused. Remember, my brothers and sisters, laziness is one of Shaytan's strongest weapons. He knows that if a believer wastes his mornings, his nights will be consumed by regret. Do not give him that chance. Strengthen yourself with dhikr after Fajr. Keep your mind engaged with something beneficial and remind yourself of the hadith of the Prophet AZ. The strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer, though both are good. So Muslim, so take strength. Fight off Shaytan's whisper. Refuse to let laziness steal the blessings of your day. Remember, when you overcome that urge to sleep after Fajr, you are not only gaining barakah in your time, you are defeating Shaytan himself. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the greatest losses of sleeping after Fajr is missing the precious spiritual opportunities that Allah has placed in these early hours. The time after Fajr is not ordinary. It is a time when the heart is calm, distractions are minimal, and the angels are present, recording the worship and remembrance of those who remain awake. To sleep through this blessed period is to miss doors of mercy and do acceptance that cannot be found in the same way later in the day. Allah Almighty tells us in the Quran, establish prayer at the decline of the sun until the darkness of the night, and hey, also the Quran of dawn. Indeed, the recitation of the Quran at dawn is ever witnessed. Zishur Al is a 1778. This verse reminds us that the Quran recited at Fajr is witnessed, meaning the angels bear witness to it, and it holds a special status with Allah. If we go back to sleep immediately after Fajr, we deprive ourselves of the chance to recite Quran at the most blessed time of the day. This is a huge spiritual loss. The time after Fajr is also one of dua. The Prophet 8 taught us that the early hours are filled with barakah. When a believer raises his or her hands in these hours, the dua carries a purity and sincerity that is often harder to achieve later when the mind becomes occupied with worldly tasks. Yet, how often do we miss this golden opportunity by choosing extra sleep instead? We also know from authentic narrations that the early hours after Fajr are moments of special mercy. The Prophet A himself would sit after Fajr remembering Allah until sunrise. His companions too would engage in dhikr and learning during these hours. They knew that these were openings of the heart, times when Allah places saknals, tranquility and Noor's light into the soul. By sleeping, we close the door to these gifts before they even reach us. Many of us complain that our dues are not being answered. We wonder why our hearts feel heavy and why our spirituality feels weak. Perhaps part of the reason is that we are neglecting the very times when dua is most likely to be accepted. Sleeping after Fajr means missing a window when Allah's mercy is descending, when the angels are present, and when the Prophet A himself encouraged us to remain in worship. My dear brothers and sisters, the loss is not just in missing barakah for our rizq or our productivity. The bigger loss is missing the spiritual treasures that Allah offers in the early morning, treasures that strengthen the soul, purify the heart, and bring us closer to Him. If you truly desire closeness to Allah, if you want your dues to be answered, then value the time after Fajr. Sit with your Quran, raise your hands in supplication, and let your heart connect with its Creator before the noise of the world begins. Do not let Shaytan convince you that a little more sleep is more valuable than the doors of mercy being opened before you. Remember, wealth can be regained, time can be managed, but a missed spiritual opening may never return. Guard the moments after Fajr, for they may be the key to your dues being answered and your heart finding true peace. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most overlooked effects of sleeping after Fajr is how it weakens our discipline and destroys our productivity. Islam is a religion that emphasizes balanced order, the wise use of time. Every act of worship in Islam, whether it is the daily prayers, fasting in Ramadan or Hajj, trains us to manage our time, our desires and our responsibilities. When we choose to sleep after Fajr, we often lose the very discipline that Islam is teaching us to build. Discipline begins in the morning. If the first action of our day is one of laziness and giving in to comfort, the rest of our day often follows the same pattern. We tell ourselves, I will wake up later and get things done. But more often than not, the day slips away with procrastination and half-hearted effort. This is not only a worldly loss, but also a spiritual one. A believer is supposed to begin the day with remembrance of Allah, with Quran, and then with productive work that benefits both dunya and ākhirah. The Prophet Muhammad himself lived a disciplined routine. He would pray Fajr, remain in remembrance of Allah until sunrise, and then begin his daily activities. His companions followed the same pattern. And history shows us that they were some of the most productive people to ever walk this earth, spreading Islam, building societies, and excelling in trade, governance, and knowledge. Their secret was discipline, and that discipline began with valuing the morning hours. When a person forms the habit of sleeping after Fajr, they are not only losing barakah, but also training the nafs self to prioritize comfort over responsibility. Over time, this weakens the willpower, making it harder to fight laziness in other parts of life as well. Who cannot discipline themselves to stay awake after Fajr will often struggle to be consistent in other good habits, whether it is reading Qur'an daily, working productively, or sticking to a healthy lifestyle. On the other hand, when we resist the temptation to sleep and instead use the time wisely, we feel a boost in discipline that carries through the entire day. The student who studies after Fajr finds clarity and focus. The worker who begins their task early finds more productivity and success. The parent who engages with their family after Fajr builds stronger bonds and sets a positive routine in the home. It is also important to realize that discipline in Islam is not about depriving ourselves of rest. It is about balance. Sleep is important, but Islam teaches us to sleep early, wake up for Fajr, and use the morning productively. This routine not only increases discipline, but also aligns us with the natural rhythm Allah has placed in creation, the day for work and the night for rest. My brothers and sisters, if you want to become a disciplined, productive, and successful believer, start with the hours after Fajr. Protect them from laziness, use them for worship and work. You will see how your entire life becomes more organized, more blessed, and more meaningful. Remember, the one who controls their mornings controls their life.